You've likely experienced interactions where no insults were thrown and everyone remained polite, yet you walk away feeling entirely drained and vaguely belittled. Psychologists refer to this disconnect as relationship cognitive dissonance. Your brain is processing a smile and a friendly nod, but your nervous system is actively registering a boundary violation. Your gut instinct detects hostility that your eyes cannot clearly see. This confusion is entirely by design. Covert hostility relies heavily on a mechanism called plausible deniability. By wrapping a critique or an insult inside a socially acceptable package, the aggressor builds a built-in defense. If you get upset, they can simply claim they were just joking or trying to help. Because you cannot point to a specific overt attack, you turn the confusion inward. You start a cycle of self-doubt, wondering if you are being overly sensitive or misreading the room. This forces you to routinely invalidate your own intuition. Navigating vague feelings of unease leaves you vulnerable to manipulation. To neutralize this dynamic, we have to look past the surface politeness and clinically profile the 5 specific, quiet tactics undercover hostiles use to shrink your presence in a room. The first set of behaviors revolves entirely around emotional temperature. Insecure individuals often feel threatened by a target taking up too much emotional space, and they deploy aggressive methods to manually turn down your volume. We can identify the first tactic as the cold radiator. When you enter a conversation with high enthusiasm about a new project or a personal win, the hostile individual purposefully drops their own tone. They offer minimal eye contact, brief nods, and absolute monotone responses. This animation illustrates the downward mirroring effect. As your energy registers high, the hostile's energy forces itself to absolute zero. Social conditioning makes us deeply uncomfortable being the loudest or most excited person in a quiet space, causing your bar to slowly deflate until you match their newly established cold environment. Once your energy is lowered, they often follow up with the velvet dagger, otherwise known as the backhanded compliment. This involves wrapping a critique inside a layer of faint praise, hiding a sharp needle of judgment securely inside the delivery. Saying, "You are so brave for wearing that," uses the vocabulary of a compliment, but paired with a remarkably flat vocal delivery, it communicates judgment without risking direct confrontation. The words provide the cover, the tone delivers the strike. Both the cold radiator and the velvet dagger achieve the same psychological goal. They drain your energy by making your authentic joy, pride, or personal expression feel inappropriate and foolish in their presence. Once they control the immediate emotional environment, undercover hostiles look to manipulate the timeline of your life events. Your past and present experiences stop being shared stories. They become raw data to be mined. Notice the gravedigger pattern in your social circle. This person is notably absent or unusually busy when you get a promotion or hit a major milestone. But the moment you stumble, a public failure, a breakup, a career setback, they are suddenly hyper-focused, calling frequently for highly specific, intrusive details. This sudden, intense curiosity is driven by schadenfreude, the psychological experience of deriving pleasure from another person's misfortune. Gathering the details of your failures allows them to engage in downward comparison, using your temporary low point to actively soothe their own persistent insecurities. We see the inverse of this with the silent archivist. This behavior involves strategic amnesia regarding your successes. They will conveniently forget your graduation date or your anniversary while maintaining a flawless, high-definition memory for an embarrassing slip-up you made 5 years ago. The silent archivist does not hold on to these memories passively. They wait for a group setting, a dinner party, or a team meeting to drop these archived embarrassments into the conversation, carefully framing them as lighthearted jokes. Mining your failures for entertainment and weaponizing your past embarrassments serves a very specific function. It systematically lowers your social status among your peers, allowing the hostile individual to elevate their own standing while still operating under the illusion of friendship. The final behavioral category moves away from emotional and informational control and centers entirely on transactional social dynamics. This is the weaponization of favors. The creditor in friendship treats generosity not as a gift, but as an opportunity for leverage. When they offer assistance, pay for a meal, or provide a professional introduction, It is an initial investment designed to yield a specific return. We can visualize this dynamic as an imbalanced scale. The gift is placed on one side, but the creditor ensures it accumulates invisible interest. They accomplish this by loudly publicizing the favor to mutual acquaintances or repeatedly reminding you of the effort it cost them, aggressively tipping the social scale in their favor. This manufactured debt creates a highly effective trap. By ensuring you are acutely aware of what they provided, they keep you feeling permanently indebted, permanently locking you into a position slightly beneath them in the social hierarchy. Authentic generosity requires no audience and demands no repayment. A favor heavily publicized by the giver is simply an economic transaction intended to purchase ongoing, long-term control over your behavior. Categorizing these 5 behaviors stops you from viewing them as isolated, confusing quirks. Recognizing them as a cohesive, insecure strategy immediately shifts the power dynamic. You no longer have to wonder what is happening. You simply have to choose how to respond. Directly confronting these tactics usually backfires. Aggressively calling out a backhanded compliment or an archived joke provides the hostile with exactly what they want, an outward display that they successfully disrupted your emotional state. It validates their leverage. Escaping this dynamic requires safely withdrawing your participation. The most clinically effective countermeasure is a psychological boundary known as the gray rock method. Executing the gray rock method means embracing complete emotional detachment. When they drop your enthusiasm, bring up an old embarrassment, or remind you of a debt, you offer zero emotional reaction. You become as uninteresting and unresponsive as a gray rock. Short answers, neutral tone, no defense, no anger. Covert hostility survives entirely on your reaction. Systematically starving the hostile of that emotional feedback destroys their leverage. Without the payoff of seeing you shrink, the interaction loses its value, naturally forcing them to abandon the tactic and seek downward comparison somewhere else. Mastering clinical detachment allows you to protect your intuition without engaging in petty conflict. By recognizing and starving out these quiet manipulations, you reserve your time and energy strictly for authentic circles of loyalty.